Hey, good morning. I'm Sean Griffin. This is Morning Cup of Context. Thanks for joining me. I was reading in the scriptures this morning in the book of Revelation, and I come across the passages that talk about, the beast, right, the Antichrist. And it was in Revelation 17, and it just reminded me of so many times, almost it seems with every new presidential election, someone comes out. And usually they're trying to sell something, but someone comes out with a video or book claiming that the current president is the Antichrist, or the current world leader of some other country, or any prominent person that a lot of people know about because he's a celebrity, whether through entertainment means or through his government position. He has a lot of renown, and so they immediately label him as the Antichrist and try to find all sorts of ways to validate that claim. I want to go through the scriptures real quick, some basic ones about the Antichrist that describe who he is, what happens to him, what's going on. That way we can understand quickly, and we can see through this silliness that we see so often. So that's why I titled this one, Is Trump the Antichrist? Because, let's check it out. Let's check out the scriptures, guys. Revelation 17:8. The beast you saw was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. Okay, so it seems a little vague, right? So the reason I put this particular scripture up there is because it says, the beast that shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Did Trump ascend out of the bottomless pit? I don't think so. All right, where is the bottomless pit? Right, so there's a lot of problems with just right off the bat, just saying where this guy actually comes from. People think, oh, he's coming from Turkey, he's coming from the European Union, he's coming from, well, the scriptures clearly tell us he's coming out of the bottomless pit. That doesn't sound like a normal dude, right? So here we go. We'll keep looking at some of these passages. Revelation 17:12 through 14. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, who have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called chosen and faithful. So we see that the beast, he's going to align himself with 10 kings, and then for 1 hour they give him his power. And I'm going to suggest, and we'll talk about this in other Kingdom and Context videos, but this passage here is talking about the day of the Lord, when the Messiah returns. That's why they make war with the Lamb in this verse, because they are, these 10 kings that come or give their power to the beast, who is, considered the little horn in Daniel, and that's why these are 10 horns on this beast. And of course, this is metaphoric language, but thankfully we have some specific language that tells us exactly who this beast is in Revelation 13, and it's in Revelation chapter 9. Let's look at it. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now, here we are, right here. We got this connection, okay, the bottomless pit. Where did Revelation 17 tell us the beast came from? From the bottomless pit. And it looks like whatever is securing the bottomless pit, someone's been given a key to that place, right? And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have. And then on down in 7 through 9 in the same chapter, it says, And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. They had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. So this is describing an army, and this is what I would contend is we can do a separate video on the actual army that comes out of the pit in Revelation 9 to try to fight the Lamb. And I can do a separate video on that, but there's a lot of contextual concepts here that tells us that this is not, there's allegorical language being used here, but there's metaphors within the allegories that tells us that the allegorical language is still speaking of a construct idea, of a solid idea, right? These are actual things, and that's why they look like locusts. The more we get more detail, suddenly they look like horses prepared for battle, and that they have features that face of a man, hair of a woman, teeth of lions. Okay, So this is very, very reminiscent of ancient Egypt with chimeric concepts. Same thing with ancient Assyria, ancient Greece. And this is where this idea of their king gets his name as well. And that's what we're going to look at next, in the next verse here. Revelation 9:11, and they had a king over them. Who is them? The 200 million things that come up out of the bottomless pit. And they had a king over them, who is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue he has the name Apollyon. Okay, Abaddon means destruction, Apollyon means the destroyer. Same concept here, and there was an actual person named Apollyon in the past in the Greek tongue, right? It was one of the Greek gods, Apollo, and that was one of the derivatives of his name was Apollyon, the destroyer. And just like, Ares or Mars, the god of war. So this is where I would contend this, guys, is talking about a very real person. That's why in the very first verse that we read in Revelation 17:8, it says at the very end, and when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. So they're amazed, right? Because there's this character from the past who was. In our modern time, he's not, but yet he's coming back. And that's the whole point of introducing this concept of the beast and who he is and where he comes from. So let's look at this idea, because that last verse we just looked at in Revelation 9:11, it called him the angel of the bottomless pit. Now most people think, well, what do you mean? Wait a minute. How in the world is this Apollyon guy? Is this an angel? Is this an actual angel? Or is this, I thought the Antichrist was, like Christ, who's actually a man. That's why they call him, the evil one. And that's where I would contend, yes, this is not a rebellious angel. Those are dealt separately in Revelation. This is actually what we would call, from context of Genesis 6, this is a Nephilim. And the word angel in the Strong's Concordance, it just means the word messenger. Okay, so this is not always speaking of a being that is around God, whether good or bad, like an angelic class of being. And even that word angel, it just means messenger. And that's what a lot of people kind of miss. And they think with this particular translation, that it must be an angel from heaven above or from hell below, or like a rebellious angel, and that must be it. That's why. But Apollyon was a person in history, and that's the part, the push I'm trying to get across here. Okay, because that word angel just means messenger, right? He's coming up to do the bidding, and that's what we see later. That in Revelation 13, he actually walks in the authority of the dragon, and then that's why many of the nations revere him, is because he is using agency of the dragon, just like Yeshua uses agency of the Father. He walks in all the authority of the Father. This is beast. Apollyon walks in all the authority of Satan, the dragon, and that's an idea of agency. I'm going to do another video on agency in Scripture in the future. But so let's look at Job 26, verses 5 and 6, looking still at where does this beast come from. The departed spirits tremble under the waters and their inhabitants. Naked is Sheol before him, and Abaddon has no covering. All right, so we just saw this idea here that Abaddon was his Hebrew name for Apollyon. This is talking about the departed spirits tremble under the waters and their inhabitants. So there is inhabitants considered to be departed spirits under the waters of the earth, and this is the idea of Sheol. That's what it even calls it Sheol in the context. Naked is Sheol before him, meaning nothing is actually hidden from him, even though it's in the interior of the earth, according to the biblical creation model. And Abaddon has no covering. So this is a place where the bottomless pit is, in the interior of the earth. This is where Abaddon comes from. So basically it's saying no one can hide, because the idea here is how great God is, right? That even departed spirits, or even Abaddon, who's in the bottomless pit, no one can actually hide, right? Everything is in the sight of the Creator. Revelation 17:8, as we just talked about, and that's why he comes up out of the bottomless pit to go to perdition. And that word means destruction. To go to his destruction is what it really means, because he's going to go up against the Lamb and he's going to lose. All right. Isaiah 14:24 through 26. The Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely, just as I have intended, so it has happened. Just as I have planned, so it will stand, to break Assyria in my land, and I will trample him on my mountains. Then his yoke will be removed from them, and his burden removed from their shoulders. This is the plan devised against the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out against all the nations. So this is what we see in the Battle of Armageddon, where it says that the Father draws all nations into Armageddon to do battle against the Lamb. And I think it's also in Revelation 16 about the 3 demonic spirits that look like frogs, and they go out into the earth to gather the kings of the earth and the nations and the armies of the earth to come fight at Armageddon against the Lamb when he returns. Isaiah 14 is mentioning the same thing here, and it's telling us that he's going to break the Assyrian. Now, this is an actual strange translation. Usually it's the Assyrian in my land, which is why it personifies him with the pronoun of him, as he says, I will trample him on my mountains. The yoke will be removed from them, and his burden removed from their shoulder. This is talking about Apollyon, and this is where I'm going to go into a really in-depth teaching on Apollyon that I'm putting out this weekend, and it's going to be part of the context tree, because part of the context tree, one of the branches is Apollyon, because it is extremely important for us to know our enemy. This is whom Yeshua taught against. This is a character all throughout the Old Testament and into the New, and to the point of the coming of the Lord. Right? This is whom our Messiah will fight against. And the Word gives us an incredible amount of Scripture to describe him and to detail what's going to happen to him, where he came from, where he's at now, where he's going, how it's going to go down, and how the Lamb will win. Yeshua of Nazareth, the Messiah, Jesus Christ, will win. So I'm going to do an entire teaching. I'm going to release that this weekend. So be sure to catch that. And so this is why I say, look, guys, this modern presidents, Trump is not the Antichrist. Barack Obama is not the Antichrist. Whatever. Any other foreign leader currently, is not the leader of the UN right now. He's not the Antichrist. Okay, the president of Turkey. None of these guys. This Apollyon was named in Scripture as the beast that fights against the Lamb, who's considered to be the Antichrist, the one who has the authority for 42 months to reign and cause havoc, which is called the time of tribulation. And this is, we're given his name. So I just want to clear that up and hopefully bring some context to that idea. And please catch this teaching I'm going to bring out this coming weekend, as it's going to be an actual, not just a morning cup, but an actual legit teaching, full length. So we're going to cover in depth all the verses that talk about, well, not all of them, there's just a lot of them. So we'll cover a huge portion of verses that describe and explain to us who Apollyon is in Scripture, where he came from, and what his destiny is sealed as. So unfortunately, he will lose. And so thanks for joining me, guys. If you like this video, just smash the like button. Like, share, and subscribe. If you think it's going to benefit other people, make sure you share it. You go over to my YouTube page, Kingdom in Context. You make sure you like and tap the bell for new notifications. And you can follow me on there. I post these videos on there as well. You can check out all of our other videos. And if they benefit you, share them with someone so I can help get the word out. I appreciate your help. All right. You guys have a good morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning.